Hopefully, hello again. Hopefully this room is not too big of a mess. I don't think you can see it. It is a big mess. Hopefully you cannot see that. I've been working on a basement project, and so all of the basement's our storage space. And I've been resealing concrete in the basement and all that stuff. Fun times, which means all of the stuff that was normally in the basement needed to go elsewhere, and this is elsewhere. But if you don't see it, yeah, good. Anyways, that's not what this video is about. This video is about meditation. Again, doing a series on meditation, just kind of getting more into the nitty-gritty of it, the practice of it, the mindset behind it. We've had a few videos so far talking about meditation, what it is, what it isn't, and how to kind of approach it mentally and kind of prepping the mind for it. This week's video, excuse me, I've decided to call it meditation hacks. So there's the common complaint, and I addressed this in last week's video, where people all the time, drives me nuts. But if I had a dollar for every time somebody told me this, I'd have a lot of dollars. We'll put it this way. But people who complain that they're not good at meditation, that mindset comes from a complete misunderstanding of what meditation actually is. Understanding that you're not good at meditating while you're attempting to meditate is meditation. So you're actually doing it even if you feel like you aren't doing it very well. And a part of overcoming the hurdle of that way of thinking is just letting yourself kind of rest in the moment, even if your mind is restless. That meditation isn't about achieving perfect stillness and calm all of the time. It's actually just about letting yourself sit with your thoughts, even if it is like a chaotic storm up here, right? That is also meditation. And sometimes those are the more important seasons of meditation. If you're able to hit kind of the pinnacle of meditation and you have the perfect calm of mind and body and spirit, those are great experiences. But sometimes the ones where you're just the exact opposite of that, everything is just, you're distracted, you're anxious, you're not in the moment. Sometimes those are actually the better times of meditation. You get more from it than you would if you're able to just kind of like flip the switch and go into perfect serenity right out of the bat. Right off the bat, I should say. However, I also understand it's frustrating if you feel like you've been trying to meditate to become a good meditator, and your mind is just constantly all over the place, like a ping pong ball going right on in your brain. And if you can't calm yourself or your thoughts or your body, right, you can't you collect your spirit. I understand the frustration, and especially if you've been practicing it for a while, you feel like you should progress. That is not the most helpful way of thinking about meditation. There is no progression or degression. It just is. But I also understand the complaint. Like, you feel like it should be doing something more. You should be getting better at it, at least a little bit, as time goes on. And if you don't see any kind of inklings of progress, then it's easy to give up on the practice altogether. So I totally get it. So today, again, we're going to talk about meditation hacks, things that I have found to be helpful whenever I am finding myself really distracted and I'm trying to really push through and find some calmness and some serenity and center myself. There are things you can do. And so here we get into more of like the practice of meditation, but specifically into like, meditation hacks, if you will. You can kind of hack the process in order to achieve a more calm, collected state, that will enable you to maybe go deeper into your practice of meditation, to at least feel some more ease and inner serenity, inner stillness during the process. So I'm going to list off 4 things that have been very helpful. Some of these are obvious, and some of these are things we've talked about in the past in previous videos. Some of them will probably be new to you, or at least new to a lot of people. So 4 things that I have tried and used that are helpful for me to achieve kind of a deeper practice of meditation. The first one is using a mantra. And when a lot of people think about meditation, they often think about a mantra, like a word or a short one-liner to recite over and over again. You just repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. And the hope is that the mantra itself will serve as kind of like a pathway into deeper meditation. You have something at least going on in your mind where let me say it this way. I'm stumbling over my words. Forgive me. It's very difficult for people just to sit down and flip the switch and go into inner stillness and inner silence. So having something that kind of distracts the mind, where you're doing something, you're focusing on something, is helpful. It's easier to focus on something than it is on nothing, right? Because perfect meditation, really, the summit of meditation, if you will, really is the focus on nothing. You're entering into the cloud of unknowing, as mystics call it, into the unknown. And so it's really hard to meditate on that which you don't know. It's hard to meditate on nothingness. You know it whenever you kind of cross the threshold into it and you experience that gift of grace. And you know it for what it is when you get there, but in terms of like getting yourself there, it's difficult, right? So distracting the mind a bit and focusing it and centering it on a mantra is very helpful. And I find also, to nuance this mantra practice even more, I find it's really helpful for me personally, and you may be different, that with my mantras that I use, using mantras that are not like a request or a petition, where I'm asking God to do something, but using a mantra that helps me just to kind of rest fully into the present moment. I'm not trying to seek anything other than what I already have. So, an example of this, I used to practice the Jesus prayer. Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me, a sinner. It's a really famous mantra from the Eastern Church, and it's a wonderful, beautiful mantra. And millions of people have practiced it, more than millions, and it's great. For me, I found myself after a certain while of practicing it still kind of restless. And I realized in my practice of meditation and using this mantra, I'm using a mantra that's like taking me out of the moment because I'm asking for something that I don't currently have. Mercy on this sinner, right? Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me, a sinner. So years ago, I shifted my mantra to this: thanks be to God. And it is repeated over and over again. And it's not so much seeking something that you don't have, it's expressing gratitude for all that you do have. And that really reshaped my way of thinking and even my spirituality. I was able to rest more fully in the practice of meditation in the moment because I'm not seeking something that I don't have within the moment, if that makes sense, right? So a mantra is a wonderful way to practice meditation. There's also, so the second thing, that was the first thing. The second thing is centering prayer. It's or using a centering word. It's like the mantra prayer, but it's a little slightly different. So instead of having a line that you would recite over and over again, what you do is you select a word like God or love or joy or peace, and you seek to sit in stillness and just kind of bring yourself to inner serenity, inner stillness, inner silence. And whenever you find that that silence has been disrupted by distracting thoughts or whatever, or feelings that you have, and you're pulled out of your state of meditation, you use the centering word to recenter yourself. That's why it's called centering prayer. So if I'm sitting and trying to meditate, and I'm just able to achieve meditation on nothingness, and just let myself go into the divine presence. And all of a sudden, I feel a hankering for tacos. And my mind chases that thought, and I'm like, I need to go get me some tacos later. And I'm dreaming about and salivating over eating tacos, right? Then I realize that my mind has gone elsewhere. I use my centering word, love, peace, to kind of reaffirm my intentions in the moment, right? And recenter myself into that deeper level of prayer and taking myself out of that distracted space. And if you're highly distracted all the time while you're trying to meditate, centering prayer might feel more like mantra prayer because you're repeating your centering word over and over again because you're constantly distracted, and that's okay. Again, meditation isn't necessarily about being not distracted. It's about giving your intentions to God in the moment, showing up and being there and seeking to practice is the practice itself. So yeah, so the first hack is mantra. Second hack is centering prayer. Both things you should explore, really, if you want to take meditation seriously. Third thing, this is a new thing I don't think I've ever talked about in any videos or any teachings I've given, is the practice that's really it really comes out and finds its basis in a lot of Zen Buddhism in particular, and it's the breath, returning to your breath. So instead of having a mantra or like a centering word, you basically just count your breaths. You focus all of your attention on your breath, in and out, and going slowly. This is highly effective, and I think if you can couple breath work with a mantra, it is actually incredibly powerful, because there's something about just breathing deeply in and out that calms you, right? And it's a good practice to have. So even if you don't use a mantra, just counting your breaths. That's a practice I know in Thich Nhat Hanh's tradition, the Plum Village tradition, Zen Buddhism. You just count your breaths, and whenever you realize you've become distracted, instead of using a centering word, you just start counting back over again. I know that there's also a Buddhist monastery not too far from here, not too far from Beloit, where they practice counting their breaths, and they just count to 10, and then they start all over again and just count, and eventually, like, the counting kind of gives way to meditation, pure meditation, where you no longer have to have that thing to focus upon. You're able to focus upon the nothingness of the moment, to rest in the cloud of unknowing, if you will. So yeah, so focusing on breath, slowing your breath down and breathing down, and either counting it or just being aware, bringing awareness to your breathing, that is in and of itself a really helpful kind of mantra, even though it's slightly different than mantra prayer, right? So the first hack was using a mantra. Second hack, centering prayer, using a centering word. Third hack is breath work, just focusing on the breath and letting it be your mantra, basically. The last thing, that when all else fails, and I'm not going to articulate a whole lot about this, you can research this for yourself, but if you just find like you've practiced you tried these different things, and you just still feel constantly distracted in meditation, something that I have found to be really helpful and a very powerful thing is it's called the Wim Hof method. It's a method that was developed by a guy named Wim Hof, who's like a super athlete who's broken all kinds of world records. But he's developed this kind of breathing method and this meditation method that there's lots of crazy claims around what it actually empowers and enables people to do. So his claim is that he can actually warm his body temperature through this breathing practice and this method, and also through cold water immersion, so like taking ice baths, and it makes him more resilient to extreme cold temperatures. So like swimming, he actually like broken records for swimming under ice-covered waters, ice-covered lakes. He's hiked to the top of a couple of mountains in nothing but pretty much like boxer shorts, barefoot in the snow in the middle of winter. I'm not advocating for the method so that you too can go like hike to the top of Everest in your boxer shorts barefoot. That's not the point. But he developed this method, and it's like a hybrid of a couple of different, basically tantric breathing methods. And there is a like kind of a fire breath method in a certain branch of Buddhism, where monks, scientifically proven, have been able to like elevate their body temperatures through their breath meditation practice. So it's actually a verifiable thing. But Wim Hof developed this method in order to like achieve kind of this inner warmth for his extreme athleticism. But he also used it, and he developed it to help bring more inner serenity and inner peace and calm to people's lives. And whenever he was a little bit younger, as the story goes, his wife actually committed suicide. And he began this quest of like trying to discover how meditation can actually heal the inner person and bring joy into our lives and help us to reduce anxiety and depression. And so he's looking looking at it primarily from like the physical standpoint. How can you, are there ways you can kind of alter yourself physically through a meditation practice that will give you physically more, more tangible calm and peace, and help you kind of get through seasons of depression and anxiety and sadness and all of that. So he developed this method basically to help make people happy. And I will say, you can YouTube, you can look it up. Just look up the Wim Hof method if you're interested in it, and just see what it doesn't involve a whole lot. It's kind of like focusing on the breath. You do a breathing exercise where you breathe kind of heavily for a bit, then you hold your breath, let out and hold. I'll let you look it up. I'm not somebody who is like instructed in the Wim Hof method or an expert in it to be able to articulate it to you. But what I can say is I have practiced it myself quite a bit, and it is really helpful whenever you are distracted or nervous or anxious or sad. It really does tap into something within, and it just brings a real calm and peace over your body. Now, I wouldn't say that that in and of itself is meditation, but what it does do is it helps you actually to like kind of till the inner soil. If you're able to start meditation from a calm and centered place, it'll make the experience of meditation all the more fruitful in its feeling for you. And whenever I practice the Wim Hof method, it actually like I begin from a place of calm, and it makes you feel. It does. It kind of get you kind of get a little bit of a high feeling from it, from the breath work, and you just there's just a calm relaxation that comes over your body. It does for me at least, and you can. If you can begin your practice of meditation from that calm, collected, peaceful feeling place, again, you can see how it would be easier to go deeper into your actual time of meditation. So the Wim Hof method for me is not meditation itself, but it's a good kind of practice before you begin your time of meditation, if you're able to do it. And it just takes a few minutes. I mean, you can really do it for a long time, or you really can do the cycle of breath work within about 15 minutes, I have found for myself. You can go longer, and it'll achieve kind of a deeper state of inner peace and serenity and stillness. But really, all it takes is just a few minutes of doing the kind of the cycles of breath work in order to get to a more calm and collected place. And then you can enter in and use your mantra method or your centering prayer method, or no method at all. You might be able to just sit there and be really calm and collected and not need the aid of anything else. So yeah, so the first hack again was the mantra prayer method. The second hack was the centering prayer method. The third hack was just basically the focus on the breath method. And then the fourth hack, it's not meditation itself, again, in my opinion, but it is a good precursor to meditation, a good practice, a good way of empowering you and enabling you to enter into a deeper time of meditation, and that's the Wim Hof method. So those are 4 hacks. There's more things you can do and say, more practices you can utilize, but for me personally, those are the 4 things that have been really helpful for me over the years that I feel confident enough kind of passing on to people and encouraging them to check it out if they feel like they're struggling in their times of meditation and can't calm and collect themselves and their thoughts. So yeah, that's it. Thank you for tuning in as always. God bless.